Mira Landry, welcome to your own damn podcast.
No, Mark, our
Oh, okay.
podcast, RMFW's podcast. But
That's
yes,
right.
very excited.
Yeah. Yeah, boy, I couldn't be more excited. I so appreciate the opportunity to team up with you and put this together. So thanks so much.
No, totally. When I had the idea about like jumping in, when I saw the newsletter come out that they were looking for a new podcast host and I hit you up and you suggested it, it just sounded like the perfect fit. I'd rather always be talking with someone about books than talking about myself. So this is great.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really excited about this. And I'm excited about the approach you came up with. And I give you credit for finding the title for us too, a new title for the podcast. It's the same, like you said, it's RMFW's thing. This is going to be on the main RMFW feed. We'll promote it to RMFW folks and beyond, of course. But tell us about the author's studio and just give us an idea of what you think this will what are the main themes that how are we gonna approach this?
Yeah, first of all, I'm actually really surprised the Author Studio wasn't already a podcast. Like, I just feel like that name was out there and should have been something, but clearly nothing. So we are the Author Studio podcast. I think we're going to keep this the same in that it's the same. I think we're going to keep this the same. It's author interviews. We're going to be bringing on RMFW authors and maybe a few other authors to talk about books and talk about their books. But what I really wanted to do, and for anyone who's listened to the Writers Who Read podcast that I'm currently on, it's a lot more about craft based and a lot more of a discussion around how can a writer learn from these books so that we can implement them into our own works. And as RMFW is a writing community, and we're really here to encourage authors to grow as an artist and grow as a writer and help them get published and maybe with marketing. It just seemed like a great opportunity to tie that educational component into the author interviews that RMFW's podcast you were doing currently. And I think that's a really nice flow. So the new vibe, the new structure of this podcast is going to be bringing on authors, same as before, except we're going to have topics for each of them. So we'll be discussing maybe it's pacing, maybe it's character development, maybe it's overall structure and plot elements and symbolism, but something, it could be marketing, it could be how to write a query letter, whatever it is an author feels like they can really contribute to the conversation and add to this community. We want to have them on here, and then we'll obviously talk about their book and hear a bit about their process.
Yeah, that sounds really great to me. I approached it more like a jump ball with every interview and sort of just sort of followed the flow a little bit of what they wanted to talk about. Occasionally we would really come up with a theme or sometimes the theme would just present itself, but it wasn't so much that craft piece, that how piece, that trying to get inside the writer's a brain, their approach, how they thought about different challenges or issues or situations, or just the straight out storytelling bit, which is what we're all trying to do, right? Is trying to tell a story. And there's so many ways to go about it.
Exactly. And I do really I think those natural interviews are so important, and there's lots of variants of them out there in different themes, not obviously not just for authors. Full confession, I'm actually not a huge podcast listener. And I think about the ones that I do listen to. Like when I do finally pick up a podcast, it's because there's something in that episode that I'm desperately wanting to learn from. So for me, the educational component of a podcast is super important. And I think that's why when I thought about stepping into this role, I was like, how do I make sure that the information or the discussion that we're having is an educational aspect? Because that's what I would listen to. And hey, if it's going to be my podcast.
Yeah. Like I said, welcome to your own damn podcast.
Thanks, Mark.
So
Mhm.
for those who don't know you, they might have bumped into you at Colorado Gold, which you're a frequent presenter, and maybe they were listening to the Writers Who Read podcast, which I personally thought was and is excellent. And hats off to the whole team there, especially Gary for leading that up. I enjoyed the heck out of that podcast. I recommend it to anybody else to go back and listen
Oh,
to
and I'll
the
clarify.
archive.
Yeah. Writers Who Read is not going
Right.
anywhere. I'm still there. Whitney's still there. Gary's still
Yeah.
there. Like we'll still be recording those.
Yep. But tell us about, give for those who don't know you, give us a little short bio.
Absolutely. So well, if you know me from RMFW, it's probably because I was the conference chair for a few years back in 2021 and 2022, and then still had some fingers in the pot in 23 and 24. I also started as a literary agent through connections that I made working at Colorado Gold. So one more reason to always volunteer.
Yeah.
That said, I stopped agenting earlier this year. I loved so many aspects of that. And this is probably an announcement to a few people who don't know yet that I've left agenting. But ultimately, I realized there were some things about the career that weren't going to hit for me. And it just was too time consuming for me to feel like I could really give everything I wanted to my authors. And outside of that, I'm also an author. I can announce that I have a book deal and it will be out in 2028 in the US with a Penguin Random House imprint. So I can go that far. I got an
Wow.
okay from my agent to say that
Wow.
much.
That
But
is,
I can't give all the details and it won't be fully announced until the fall or later.
yeah. And the title isn't ready for public release yet either. Okay.
No, I have to keep it all quiet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's all right. Do you know early 2028, late 2028?
Early 2028. Yeah.
Well, that's great because right
Hmm.
now it might feel like it's a long way off if you're excited about getting your first book out there, but
Oh,
maybe not.
yes, definitely. Right now, everybody talks about what it's like to get a book deal, and you can imagine it 100 ways over, and you get one, and it's super exciting. It's everything you dreamed, and then immediately you're thrown into edits. I mean, Mark, you know this.
Yeah, I
Published many
do.
novels now, including one that was just nominated for the Colorado League of
Authors
Authors,
League,
correct?
Author League.
Authors League,
Yep,
yep.
yep, yep, yep. Yep, it's true. But I'll say what everybody says between now and publication date. It goes like that. It's incredible. It's incredible. It feels like it's probably a light year away, but it's only a short rocket trip. It's going to be here in a blink.
Interesting.
It's amazing how time, well, once this, to me, and to a lot of other fellow folks I've talked to, the time between contract signing and pub date goes really much faster than you think for some strange reason. Don't know.
Mhm.
So
Well, my
enjoy
mother
it.
is going to be happy to hear that because she keeps talking about how it's like being a child waiting for Christmas. She thinks it's just way too long away and she can't wait for my book to come out. So,
Yeah. Well, at some point, maybe I'll get to interview you on the author studio about how you approached something to do with this book as we get closer to promoting that. That would be fun.
oh, that would be fun.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. When I
yeah,
can actually make an announcement, we should do that. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I know
Excellent.
you've been doing this podcast for 10 years, but maybe we should, for any new listeners, give a little rundown on yourself.
Yeah, sure. Well, just a quick shout out to Farah, who took over the podcast last year. She produced a whole bunch of very appealing interviews and just did a really nice job. She mixed it up a bit too, and I like her approach. But I just want to give a shout out to Farah for stepping in. And now she's super busy. You keep mentioning the conference. That's probably the one. Well, it's not the one. I was involved in the conference, but not at any heavy planning level at all. I was president for a while, about 10, 12 years ago or so. I think I was president for either two terms, something like that. Um, and I was the podcast chair for a bunch of years. I started out about around RMFW dragging refreshments to Saturday morning workshops. There used to be a lot more Metro Denver workshops every month at various libraries around Metro Denver, and I was the refreshment guy. I'd bring coolers and drinks and snackies and things like that because that's what we did, and that's how I got plugged into RMFW and just sort of gradually sort of worked my way into the organization and met so many wonderful people who helped me get out there and get published, all that good stuff. So, yeah, in
Wait,
2015, what?
I was
Yeah,
going to say, I feel like we need to bring this back. We need to bring back the
yes.
library sessions with the refreshments. This sounds great.
That was really a good community building thing, I thought, because except for maybe at December at the holidays or something else. The spring education workshop, when RMFW puts on a day-long program in the spring, we wouldn't do that. But the other 10 months of the year, we'd be in Jeffco, we'd be in Littleton, we'd be in Aurora, we'd be in Denver at the Sam Gary Library, and we'd have a presenter. It would just be a chance for people to get together. Sometimes we'd have 40 or 50 people in the room, free from RMFW, just a great way to promote RMFW's brand and to give more speakers chance to present to our writers, our up and coming writers, whatever. And that I think that went away around COVID. I'm not sure, and just hasn't come back. But
Hmm.
I don't know if anybody else in the education side of RMFW would want to consider putting that together. But it was easy because the libraries, if you book far enough ahead of time, the conference rooms are free. You just have to
Mm-hmm.
book them, and most of the presenters will do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Parking's there. You come in, have a put out some refreshments, and usually they were 2-hour programs. They were great. I loved it. I learned so much, and I made so many great friends that way. So when you come to conference, it's not so intimidating. You already know a whole
Right.
bunch of people, and you start to just become known as somebody who's around. And that really, it sounds like such a crazy little thing, but that networking part of the writing life is so important.
Oh, it's important in life in general for every
Yeah.
avenue. I think a lot of writers like to think that holding up with just their computer or their pen is the best way to become a writer. But the number one thing that I would always say to any writer who feels like they're struggling to take the next step is, have you built a writer community? You need to get around that energy.
Yep. 100%, as they say. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. So anyway, I have 8 novels out and maybe a ninth next spring, and they're
Wow.
mostly crime fiction. But one book in there was set in the world of baseball and is, I guess, straight up literary slash just general fiction. I wouldn't try to say literary with my own stuff, but it won the best baseball novel of the year from a baseball magazine that I respect. And yeah,
Oh, that's
so
amazing.
yeah,
Congrats.
yeah, yeah. Had very lucky, fun career with a big gap between, I had like a 6-year break. I mean, not that I took a break, but the publishing industry took a break from me, and I just waited it out. So I'm sort of in the second phase of publishing and enjoying every minute. Yeah.
That's so exciting. Great.
Yeah.
Well, we have
Yeah.
so much to learn, and I feel like it's going to be
Yeah.
fun having all these different authors on here and getting to talk as authors about great craft, marketing, publishing, etc., all the ups and downs and, glory and woes. So,
Yeah. So, a couple things. We're going to occasionally mention cool stuff going on in RMFW and announcements. And one thing that we want to talk about right now is the conference, which is right around the corner, coming up in early October, I believe.
yeah, October 1st to 4th,
Yep.
Colorado Gold Conference. So if you haven't been, definitely check it out. I think you have the stats on our regular registration. It's open until,
Yep. Our regular registration opens up, I'm sorry, closes down on August 12th, and the members fee is right now $540. That will expire and go up to $590 between August 12th and September 10th. For non-members, it's $50 more in each case, 590 for non-members through August 12th and 640. And I just want to mention that this year there's a Saturday only package. If you just want to go for the big day in the middle, it's $290 for members and $350 for non-members. That's a jam-packed day, but I personally recommend that you go all 3 days and make the most of it. If you're making the effort to get there, you may as well go and soak it all up because it's great.
And as we were saying, that's the best way to build a community,
Yeah.
which is super important. I'll also mention there's hours and hours of workshops within that. You get an agent pitch, and there's a bunch of editors, including Big Five editors that are coming this year. That'll be great to meet. We have roundtables so you can have your material, your 10 pages critiqued by an agent or an editor in a roundtable with other people, which I think are such a huge hit. There's lots of people who come specifically for that. There's a master classes on Friday morning. There's a Thursday intensive that's all day that you can sign up for. And I really think those master classes and Thursdays intensives actually really help to build little cohorts because you meet them before the heaviness of the conference starts and then you hang out with everybody throughout. The conference price also includes all of your meals, so everything is covered for that. And the Hyatt is a wonderful hotel. It's fairly new, really nice. Highly recommend getting a room. We have a specific room block, and I believe the room rate is about 174 a night. That's what I'm guessing,
Yeah.
which is unfortunately very reasonable these days.
Yeah. That is, and it's a gorgeous hotel. And the restaurant's amazing. The bar area is amazing. It's just a great, yeah,
And
lively.
if you're local, parking's included. So,
Yeah. Yep.
mhm.
And Stephen Graham Jones is a keynote speaker, which, that's a pretty darn big name. If anybody doesn't know him, go look him up. He is, I've been on the same panel with him. I've seen him talk so many different times. He will light a fire under you and make you feel like you can do it. And you can, of course, but he's terrific.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
local author. He lives here in
Yeah.
Boulder.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Great guy. Great guy. So yeah, get out there and sign up for Colorado Gold. Yep.
I'll be there. I'm giving 4 workshops.
Well, there you go. Now slam dunk. If anybody was wondering before, okay, can you give us an idea? Do you know who you're working with and just a couple?
Yes. What am I teaching? Oh, I'm teaching on the various angles of showing versus telling, which I know sounds like something you would learn in like third grade, but it's actually so important as an adult writer to understand the nuances of how showing and telling shows up in your writing because it is actually very different than what you learned in third grade. And then I'm teaching one on the path of traditional publishing. So the title is Manuscript to Market. And it's a 2 hour workshop that really takes you from you finished a book, so now what? And then I'm teaching one on adding symbolism and illusion into your novel with Rachel Horak Dempsey. And then I'm also doing a live critique on opening pages with Chelsea Pennington. So Chelsea Pennington is a local author. And we did this one last year and it was a big hit. And we're literally actually collecting submissions right now. So if you are listening to this and you want to have me look at your work and give some feedback on the opening 2 pages, you can submit it in a specific form via email or just email us at podcast@rmfw.org and I'll send it to you. And we're going to select a few to critique during the workshop and just talk about what agents look for in those opening sentences and opening paragraphs and how do you offer critique on these to other critique partners.
Invaluable stuff. Yeah, invaluable stuff. That's great.
Mhm.
And speaking of Rachel, how's that for a
Very
segue?
exciting. Yes,
I'll be
Rachel.
in charge of segues, okay?
Okay, yeah, sounds good. You're really good. I was giving it a pause, being like, do you want to add
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah.
Well, one thing about our podcast, which is really exciting. So it's exciting to be able to announce our first podcast guest will
Right.
be Rachel Horak Dempsey, who recently put out her novella, Pinocchio, which I think we say Pinocchio. And she is going to come on and talk to us about specifics regarding unique pacing in novellas, which actually includes things like showing versus telling. One of the cool things about being able to announce who our next guest is that we give you the option to email us any questions you might have for that specific author or regarding that topic. So if you have any specific interests or things you want to know about pacing, etc., that you want us to ask Rachel when she's on, please email them to us in the next week. And we will make sure that we get those to her when we're on the episode and we'll let them know it came from you as well.
We'll be interviewing her on July 30th, I believe, which is
Correct.
yeah, right. So if you hear this podcast on Monday, that same week, let us know. Do you have the email and the address on the top of your head there, Mira, or I can look it up?
Podcasts at rmfw.org.
There you go. And just shoot us an email, any kind of just general questions about pacing in novellas. And yeah, it's a challenge. It's a good challenge, that issue around pacing of anything, but novellas in particular for sure. Yeah. And I've read the first chapter. I'm just going to say, OMG. Wow. The first chapter
Oh,
of her
just wait.
book,
It's so good. It's
it's
so
just,
fabulous.
wow. Yeah, it was just, I mean, one of those ones where you just sit up straight and say, somebody's in charge here, and I feel like I'm going to be taken for a ride. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for any of us, anybody who are listening right now and would like to read Pinocchio before listening to the episode, her episode will air on August 17th, and you can get Pinocchio, again, that's spelled PN0K0, on any of the current platforms, I believe.
Yep. 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 Excellent. And how about if folks want to apply to be a guest? Do we want to talk about that or?
Yes. If you're interested in being a guest on our podcast and have some craft or publishing or marketing topics that you would like to discuss with us, you can also email us at podcast@rmfw.org and we will send you a form to fill out. Or you can go to rmfw.org and go under podcast and you will see a link to the form there. Don't worry about having all of the information ready, but fill out what you can and we'll email you and start to get more of the details. But we would love to interview you if you have a book coming out or had one come out recently. That's what we're looking for. We're here to support the RMFW audience, but also if you're, or sorry, the RMFW community. But if
Yeah.
you're not with RMFW, don't let it stop you. One, why aren't you? But two, feel free to hit us up. We'll still love to interview you.
Right. Excellent. Very good. Any other key details we need to promote or we're planning on kind of a 2 month, 2 episode a month pace, I believe. Um, so that's, you know, the schedule we're planning on. We'll see how it goes, and I think we will get plenty of interest. Um, and just looking forward to hopefully producing good, meaningful content that continues to build community and helps all writers at all levels. Really, we're trying to, even as an experienced writer, it's hard for me to even say those words out loud, but I'm always learning. I'm always picking up stuff. It just never hurts to, you never know what little nugget is going to fire you up for the day.
I 100% agree. I think that's, to me, the point of being a writer is there's always something new to learn. You're never going to reach this level where you feel like you're perfect at this and there's no more to learn. There's always something to learn. And you never know where that conversation is going to come from that's going to inspire you to try something different. Okay, the other thing that we just want to make sure, if you are an RMFW member, you have probably heard about the summer party. And if you haven't, you should check your emails. It's in the newsletter. And on August 2nd, there is the summer party. I can't say it all on the podcast because I think it's specifically for RMFW members, if I'm correct. But go to your most recent newsletter or hit up Oliver, who's the communications head here at RMFW. So communications at rmfw.org for more details, and he'll be able to share those.
Always a great time. Always a great time. Yeah, for sure. Great. Well, Mira, well, I'm really looking forward to producing this podcast with you. And looking forward to that first chat with Rachel. And thanks so much for the overview. And we'll see you when we jump on with Rachel here in a few weeks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mark. So looking forward to this, and I'll see you next week with Rachel.